What is up, guys? It's CJ here, and come along with me to live trade oil here. So I'm looking to take this on my Hyro challenge, and we're also going to take it just on TradingView as well. Whatever you think of the range, if you want the bigger range, you want the smaller range with the PS selling climax right here that breaks structure, mitigates supply, and then creates this beautiful range, whatever range you prefer. Wyckoff Model 2 irregardless. So as soon as, since we confirmed right here where we had a SFP and then confirmation, my entry is a little bit high up and I don't have the absolute best RR, but I am targeting this wick as well. So as soon as we come into this POI, I'm going to use a strategy called adding to winners. So when your model develops in a high probability fashion that you want to add to it, is kind of how I am viewing that strategy a bit. So I'm only in for, let's see. So only 500 with fees, kind of just leaving a bit for fees. So that's kind of like 0.5. So I'd be looking to add a little bit more to that. 850, 750 is kind of my sweet spot for this account right now. So as soon as we touch this POI, I'm going to click this long button. We're already set up with our stop loss, obviously, where it needs to be. And so we're just adding to the position once it dips under. That's all we're doing. So maybe I'll talk about the play a little bit. So oil went for a pretty crazy pump last night during Asia. You can see that Asia. And so, I'm going to make this authentically myself. I was taking some heat for this range, but like it's not actually the case. So the way I view these futures markets is more from a liquidity perspective, where you have this being your Asia liquidity will make that purple. And so London comes up and mitigates this supply, the supply remaining from this wick. And then before it did that, it put in a PS. So let's outline that. Because if you hug your range right against here, it is valid and it still works. It's the exact same confirmation. This is just the way that I'm seeing Wyckoff a little bit, and I'm more flexible in the way I'm looking at ranges. So maybe that can help you. Maybe that can mess you up. I'm not too sure. It's a personal thing. I want to check the volume from here as well. It's relatively the same. I want to check from this wick. Yeah, just exactly the same. So keep it on there. We did get a little bounce from our POC. And so if we do come here, we will improve our average entry. Had a slight front run of this demand, but it was hit on CL, so the regular contract. I'm using MCL because I'm also live trading it right here. So we will be on this. As soon as that alert goes off, I will click the button to add, because we are pulling back with a nice return to zone, and I'm viewing this like a confirmed model. Any entries here in the discount section of a confirmed model are good for me. So I think my strat is I'm going to buy another contract here, and then I'm immediately going to come over to Hyro, because we're also playing it on Hyro. As you can see, where's our tool? Right here. And I also just like the way it looks. Like, invert your chart, and maybe you want it over here, but this is how I like to view. Like, this is much cleaner for me. So we'll see if we get that. I'm fine if we don't. If we want to go up. The only thing I'm not fine with, I guess, is if we go all the way down. So either way, we're sitting in a good spot where we find ourselves in a confirmed model where you have 2 layers of demand backing up your stop loss. So if I come here, stay off that screen for a second. 2 layers of demand backing up your stop loss. I would prefer us to come down though. So I will leave you guys with that. If we do hit that POI, I will continue this video. Okay guys, coming back in with CL. We never got our chance to add. We ended up just pushing higher, hitting TP1. So nothing too crazy on the RR side. I believe it was like a 1.7. I took 50% there. I did the same on Hyro. Now I'm targeting this wick, but I'm also protecting myself. Given that we have this amazing structure demand right here, I'm not really too concerned with us coming back below this point. If we do, I will simply get stopped out. Let's see, we realized 1R because we took 0.5. I'm actually curious what our RR was on here. Let's see. It's not very good. Yeah, it's exactly the same. This chart is really good. It's exactly the same as, you know, NYMEX chart, futures chart. So they've really done a fantastic job on Bybit and BitUnix, the USDT chart. It trades extremely clean. If you're wondering why my entry is there, it's basically because I didn't take the 15-second break of structure down here. Let me go to my actual chart. I never took the 15-second break structure down here because I thought we front ran my demand. And I thought that even right here, because I should have it on the chart. It's just in my mind, like you have an SFP right there. So that can definitely not be a confirmation. And I was wondering if that SFP was going to rotate us back down for that demand that I thought we front ran. But in the process, we did break. Like we had some aggressive candles that left a order block right here with imbalance. 3 minute. Did we also have a 5? And we also had a 5, and that's backed by this value area low. No matter where you pull it from, let's even keep it over from the wick, you know, that's already backing that POI. So it also makes sense that we bounced off that. So this model was overall just brilliant. The Wyckoff to create Wyckoff, and then the break structure. So I'm just entering there on a candle closure, and there really wasn't too much of a retest. There was a slight retest. And then we're going, yes, there's a better entry here, and we can talk about it, but I wanted to be sure. Is this VWAP? So if you did take the 15-second break of structure here and you thought it was a mitigation, the break back inside VWAP in combination of a break back inside the value area low, remember the value area is right here, break back inside that value area low and break back inside VWAP, it's super nice. It's super nice. So overall, just a great trade, not a high RR trade, but just one that you can compound. You know, if we can hit TP2, that would be phenomenal. I think we have a really good chance of doing so because we mitigated this order block. If we hadn't done that, I would give it less of a chance. But the fact that we did do that, definitely, I think we have a great chance of reaching here and maybe even higher. The structure demand that we created right here, backed by the value area high, is absolutely a thing of beauty. I believe it's also backed by VWAP. Let me just check. Backed by session VWAP. What's RTH doing? And if you're not familiar with this, RTH chart is just New York session. So it's useful sometimes. You more so use it for NQ and ES than oil. But you can see us expanding up aggressively. It's kind of exactly what we wanted to see. And, you know, talking about the other, I don't want to talk about it too much, obviously. But yeah, like I said before, viewing it more like a liquidity game and viewing it more like where is the composite man, you know, the composite operator, the composite operator, you know, the person with infinite liquidity, the AI, the person, the whoever, the algorithm, I don't know who it is at the end of the day, but I believe that they spawned Wyckoff models, and it's our job to find where they are, find the points. So for me, this was just, it was hugging too much, and it was just kind of an absolute buy to sell that just was the Asia low. And, you know, we're always looking for liquidity. And London kind of made this Wyckoff model. So New York, beautiful manipulation where New York completes the distribution, Wyckoff to create Wyckoff to then mitigate our demand, sweep extreme liquidity right here. Hopefully that's clear. We'll move that out of the way. Sweep extreme liquidity, which was the range low of this local model. I'll show it on the ones. It's very nice. I never traded it though, but it's just good to see. And so that ends up sweeping extreme liquidity. So even though we don't hit demand, it's perfectly fine. And that's ultimately why I got this break structure, which also happens above the POC, which is really nice. So yeah, guys, I will go over the full TA, just breaking it down when we finish, and we'll see how oil can play out. If we can come for our TP2, that would be phenomenal. You know, maybe a little action like this. We haven't seen this in a while, but we'll see if the magnet works, and I will update you guys if it worked or not. All right, and the magnet is doing its job. Apologies. The magnet did its job, so we were smashing that TP2. We were filled on Hyro as well, so that's been another successful live trading. I know I didn't show the actual live trade because it's happening very fast, and I wanted to show the adding to the position if we got it, but we ended up not. But it's a great chance to talk about this trade. I will now flip it over, and we'll do a deep dive into how I was seeing this model and really review the trade. So I will see you over there, and to leave it off here, just phenomenal follow through. That's the delivery you want. We took a couple very small take profits in here because we're close and we wouldn't want to see it reverse, want to lock in those profits. But overall, even some accounts I never took any profits until this high. So mission complete, I would say, on a super nice Wyckoff Model 2 on oil. And now let's get into the trade review and how I was seeing it. All right, guys, let's quickly recap the oil trade and do a little trade review on it because it was a little bit unorthodox, but it was also extremely clean from a liquidity perspective and a Wyckoff phase perspective. And I'll explain briefly what I mean about that. I was receiving some criticism that I wasn't pulling my range from here. I didn't really like starting it there, although you absolutely could, you know, just a quick trend down from that low. But I really liked how we mitigated that supply that was remaining so that we could target this Asia high. So when we look at our sessions, purple is Asia. We had London sweeping that Asia low. And now I wanted, if we were going to accumulate in this area, rotate it up to the Asia high. We kind of just had a manipulation. I remember watching that manipulation during the Asia session that night. So then I was sleeping during London here. And then awaking for New York. And if we come and look at our third tap POIs, I was looking for this structure demand right here. So I had this on the chart as my extreme demand. And honestly, we had a slight front run of it, which is why I never took the 15-second breaker structure. If you were watching the CL chart though, so this is MCL micro contracts, because that's what we're trading. It actually did hit. So a little thing there kind of prevented me from taking the lowest breaker structure for a very high RR, but kind of is what it is. So looking at this like a PS, looking at this like a selling climax, because we have this market structure trending down that breaks level 2 right here. So you do have a break of structure. For your selling climax, I'm using ARs a little bit differently. I'm using them as automatic reactions or rallies, not necessarily the move up, but actually the move down. So using them, sometimes you're getting a distribution here. And if we did have a little distribution, I would think of it like an automatic reaction, algorithmic distribution to then come down and deviate this low. We come down, we sweep that London low, Asia low on London. And then during New York, look at our sessions here. So New York starts right here and it pushes up and it actually completes a Wyckoff Model 1 distribution right here. So we can be having Wyckoff creating Wyckoff, which happens quite a bit, where you get that distribution to then come down and get an LPS, which we put in right here. And if we look at our market structure on the ones, let's see what it was saying. So this is essentially what happened to me, like we talked about earlier in the video. And I'm making this review days later, after on a Sunday. This was a trade on Thursday. But we had the SFP, so I wasn't sure if we were going to come down. I think we broke 30-second structure though. Yeah, right here. So this was the dog entry that I wish I would have taken, and was my plan to take it. But hey, kind of is what it is. Wasn't sure about this front run, wanted to see it get hit. Yes, if you're just using the MCL chart, yes, we completed that distribution, sweeping extreme liquidity and whatnot. But in any case, I never took that. Break a structure confirming an LPS. And then you'll see what we did here. Right there. So let me check the 2-minute. It's funny doing this days later. Not sure how that got messed up. But I do like to take some time away and then come back to it. And I believe we entered right here. Candle closer above. Let me see if the RR makes sense. Entered a little bit lower. 1.7. Just like that. So obviously the best entry is right here for a 5.4 technical target. It is what it is at a 1.7. So like right there. Because we did get that break of structure eventually. So at this point in time, we've created demand here. So we have new demand backing us up. So you can check that in your journal. You have a clean return to zone like this. Your STB got confirmed right here. So all your Wyckoff points are confirming using market structure. Always what we like to be seeing. It's a less talked about thing. I'm not sure if I started that or not. I could be completely wrong, but just confirming every point with market structure is just a huge +1 for me. And then we had TP1 at that high, and then obviously our draw and liquidity, we're targeting that high. So that's exactly my thought process getting into this position and kind of how I was looking at it. The other thing is you're bouncing from that value area low. And the other thing is if we use VWAP here, you'll see that's also break back inside VWAP. So taking that 30-second break, you have a break back inside the value area and you have a break back inside VWAP. So, you know, overall really clean. Would I've liked to take this entry? Absolutely. When I look back at it, I've seen MCL be the chart sometimes, and I've seen CL be the chart. I think they just kind of rotate, but this one was definitely better for CL. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I mean this chart right here, where I believe that we did hit an order block, or that there was an order block here. I can't remember what time frame though. yeah, this 10-minute order block got hit right there, as you can see. Let me just make sure that that's not there on an MCL. Yeah, so it wasn't there on MCL. That's why I didn't have it. But it kind of is what it is. I've seen MCL be the more trustworthy chart as well, but we don't need the craziest high RRs. I'm also not sure what's going on with the dots here. And then you can see we confirmed that LPS, last point of support, creating more support, so more demand, which we always want to see, and it is our third point of a Wyckoff model too. So we'll play it out here. And obviously you guys saw this. You guys kind of saw this play out live, so I'm not gonna waste our time with it. But that was basically the thought process of getting in this trade, and bang, there you can see we hit full take profit. These are the types of models, by the way, that I like the aesthetic look of. Like when you can have every point, we're playing a liquidity game where we're targeting liquidity points, and we're using our Wyckoff model to target those points. That's basically all I was doing here. It's good to review it. Every point did its job. So yeah, that'll conclude our video on oil here. Do we have any? Yeah, I'll toss these images on maybe. But these are not really important. Yes, what was our entry? So took it on Bybit, all good, like all good to trade. The CL contract with USDT works amazing. And yeah, you can see like by the time displacement, everything is just looking clean to the eye. If you want to get really technical with it, you put an LPS 2 right there. And yeah, that is the play in a nutshell. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you want to start your own journey on HyroTrader, I will drop a link in the description. But overall, let me know in the comments if you guys took this trade on oil, if you thought it was valid, how you were seeing it. Let me know. I want to know. So that's all for me today, and I will catch you guys in the next one.